Cuddled up in my blankie because I don't feel amazing. Don't have any makeup on. Sunday fun day, right? I am still living with my husband's grandma, and we're moving this week into our beautiful apartment, which I can't talk, which I'm going to show you all a video of, and it's going to be much brighter and nicer. I don't have one of those fancy light up rings that a lot of YouTubers have. Maybe I'll get one, if demand calls for it. But I did want to put out this story because it's a good one. It's a banger. And I thought it would be fun to share. So right now I'm just on my bed, cuddled up. And let's get into it. So I guess I should preface this a little bit by saying I've been married to Rodney for 2 years and been with him for almost 4. So before that, I was a single girl and I was on and off dating sites. And this particular person I met happened to be through Tinder. And the messages were decent. They were nice. They weren't like sexual or anything that would make me be like, I'm not talking to you anymore, because obviously it can go that way. We all know what it's about. And to me, that's not what I was looking for. So I would always just block, delete, whatever. I'm going to call this guy. I just now remembered what his real name was. I was struggling to remember his real name, but I'm going to call him Strapped because, well, I'll explain at the end if you can't figure it out yourself. No, I'll just tell you up front. Strapped for cash. But he wasn't. That's the problem. I should just call him Cheapo. We're just going to call him Cheapo. Cheapo is a better word. So Cheapo wants to, I should have known right off the bat, just getting into it from the beginning, because Cheapo's idea of our first date was him coming over to my house. Yeah, that's never going to happen. My own husband, when I started dating him, I didn't even let him in my house for a month. But I said, no, let's go to dinner. And I lived at the time in this very close-knit, cute Italian neighborhood in the Cleveland area where I knew a lot of people. So I picked a pretty decent restaurant. It wasn't so crazy above and beyond. And I was there first. I got there first. I didn't want him to know where I lived. I didn't want Cheapo to know where I lived in case I didn't like him, which thank you that I dodged that bullet. So I got there first, and I know the people that work at the place and own the place. So I'm talking to them, and we happened to get sat in a chair where there was a phone charger nearby, which I had requested because my phone was about to die. Well, Cheapo was tall, so when he came in, 2 things. First of all, immediately before even really greeting me, he's complaining about the table, which I'm like wincing with embarrassment. I have 25 years of restaurant service under my belt, and I'm just like, oh God. Oh God. And he's like, well, this isn't really the best place. I'm like, it's okay. We can move to another spot. It's not a problem. They're not busy. It was a Sunday night, I remember. And I'm like, I'm sorry, to my friend who was working. And he's like, no, it's okay. But I had tried to explain to him that I needed my phone to charge. That's why I had selected that table. And right off the rip, he was like, well, can't you just leave your phone there? And I'm like, I'm not leaving my phone halfway across the restaurant from me, but okay. Cheapo had a man purse, but it wasn't. It was like shaped like a box. To this day, I don't have an answer for you as far as to why that was. But what I can tell you is that he tried to take his own bottle of liquor out in this nice restaurant. This is a man who told me he had an engineering degree, and I can't actually say where he worked for without giving him away, but if I were to say it, you'd be like, what? Like worked for like a pretty big government company. Okay. So he was like, I always try to say, and he says right off the rip, I always try to save a few books in pregame. You know what I mean? Right away, I'm like, oh God, but I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying to remember that he had sent me really nice messages, and maybe he was just nervous. And, he had admittedly told me he doesn't like to go on a lot of dates right away when he talks to someone online because you never know what you're going to get. I had the opposite opinion of it. Why not go on a date right away so you do know what you're going to get? Actually, Rodney and I went to dinner on our very first date, which Rodney was living in a sober house at the time, didn't even have a real job, and still managed to buy me dinner, which I didn't know at the time, or I probably would have insisted that he not, but I'll save that story for another day, and it's a much better story. So Cheapo says he wants an appetizer, and they have frog legs on the menu, which I'm from the North. It's not a really popular thing in the North. It is in the South for sure. My dad's family's from the South. They enjoy frog legs. And I said, yeah, I'd be down to share anything. I said, except the frog legs. And I kind of said it with a laugh because, like, most people I know don't like them. Although that particular restaurant is known for their frog legs. Some people like them, some people don't. I'm not a frog leg girl. I don't like them. There's probably 10, maybe 15 other options you could have selected on the menu. Swear to God, I could show you this menu, and there were many other options. And he's like, well, dang, that's what I was going to get. And I'm like thinking that there's no way he's going to go ahead and still order these. When I said I would have anything but that, like, you mean to tell me now you can't pick anything else? So the server comes by and he's like, sorry, we're going to have to go with the frog legs. I'm like, okay. Then he orders a ribeye. I ordered a pizza. He ate a lot of my pizza. I'm not a big eater. I had weight loss surgery several years ago. I just can't eat a lot at one time. Again, referring back to my date with Rodney. Rodney ordered for me on our first date, and I had to tell him up front, I'm not going to eat all this. To which Rodney replied, okay, get a takeout box. Just eat what you can. No big deal. Like a normal person. This guy was like, why ain't you eating this? I'm like, can't get out of here fast enough. So anyway, Cheapo talks about himself the whole date. Doesn't really inquire much about me. I'm just really like staring at my watch, like dying, because I know at this point it's not a good fit. So the real fun comes when the bill arrives at the table. Now, I know that Cheapo makes all kinds of money. He's definitely bragged about it. He proceeds to tell me that my half would be, oh, well, she just did only have the pizza, and I didn't drink anything. I remember I had a little bit of a headache, and I didn't get any wine. He had 2 glasses of wine, a ribeye. He ordered the appetizer, and he ate most of my pizza. Really, I'm a little old-fashioned in the respect that I think the guy should pay for the first date, but I'm prepared to pay for myself. And he's like, well, God, I kind of feel bad asking you to pay for your half of the pizza, but he's like, I don't know, just give me $20, which I definitely didn't even owe $20. I'm like, sure, if this is going to make this date end faster, not a problem. So I actually had cash, and I found out later that he tipped really poorly too, and I tried to make up for it. My friend wouldn't let me. But anyways, you think the fun is over? No, because after the date, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go. It was really nice meeting you. And Cheapo wants me to look at his car, which was a Ford. What are those Fords that are like fast, like not a Charger, because that's a Dodge. Oh, it was the Ford one though, like a Ford something that are like those fast cars, but it was like older. He proceeds, and he's a tall guy. I'm only 5'1", to reach down and like grapple my face. I don't even know how he got it, and give me the sickest, sloppiest, wettest, most gross kiss of all times. No lie, this happened. Well, right there where he happened to be parked was the Italian American Club. And I'm like just praying for my cousin to come outside because I know that he hangs out there. Of course, that didn't happen. But I lied, and I was like, oh, see, if someone in my family is around here and they see you doing that, it's going to be all bad. I'm sorry. We can't really do that in the street. And he's like, you going to have me over now? No, Cheapo, I'm not going to have you over now. Not today, not ever. I ended the date. I don't know really what his thoughts were because as I was walking home, I blocked the number. But I went and I sat back at that restaurant for a while before I was sure that dude took off and he wasn't going to follow me because I definitely didn't want him to know where I lived. I don't know if he ever tried to follow up with me. I don't know whatever happened to him. I never saw him again. Ladies, meet in a safe location. And gentlemen, know what you're getting yourself into. And by all means, I mean, really, you make that much money. He had a bevy of credit cards that he took out, like trying to choose which one to pay with. You ate most of my dinner anyway. It couldn't have gone worse. And I don't know how in his mind he ever could have thought I wanted to kiss him. But some people are delusional like that. So that's my story time. A bad Tinder date. And unfortunately, I have a lot more of those. Have a good night and subscribe. You want to hear more content? Subscribe.